Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your voice of reason. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the Eritrean invasion of Tigray/Ethiopia. So what happened? How did this occur? So as we know, back in early November, or even prior to November into last year, the Tigray state government was in a political squabble with the Ethiopian federal government based in Addis Ababa. The government in Addis Ababa, led by Abiy Ahmed, had canceled state elections inside of Tigray under the guise of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, when the two sides could not resolve their issues and Addis Ababa was seeing that it was not going to be able to resolve its issue with Tigray, it began mobilizing for conflict, as did Tigray. The Ethiopian federal government moved significant forces into Mekelle, and these forces were going to be used to disarm the Tigray state militias. That was going to be the goal. Now, this was going to be a very challenging goal for the Ethiopian government, and as Tigray was seeing these forces being moved into its state, it decided to act. And again, war is a continuation of the political process, and the political process turned into armed conflict. So the Tigray state government decided to act preemptively, and they did this by seizing the Northern Command based in Mekelle. Now, unbeknownst to Tigray, now I think Tigray had a little bit of insight, but I don't think the Tigray state government really understood the type of action that Eritrea was willing to take. I think that Tigrayans believed that they could disarm the federal troops inside of Tigray and bring them back to the negotiating table. And at one point, the Tigrayan militias could have executed up to 6,000 Ethiopian troops inside of Mekelle. They had captured them in this preemptive action, but they didn't. They let most of them go. But as this was occurring, I myself was kind of watching some of the military movements and was hearing initial reports that out west some towns had been captured. But what was really strange is the movement of forces appeared to be coming from the north heading south, as opposed to you would normally see troops staging north of Gondar and moving north from southern Ethiopia into Tigray, heading into the A2 highway, heading north, seizing the town of Hawaiian, and heading north into with the goal of seizing Mekelle. So the advance of the Ethiopian forces, when you look at this, should have been from south to north, okay, with the objective of eventually seizing Mekelle. That's not what happened. The Ethiopian main axis of advance occurred from Adigrat south, and they entered Mekelle from the north. And it kind of went from, suddenly Shari was seized, Axum, Adigrat, and then they moved down and then obviously seized Mekelle when the at that point the Tigray state forces basically went to the hills at that point. But what this proves is that probably, well, not probably, up to 50,000 Eritrean troops invaded Tigray or Ethiopia. The first agreement was the exchange of Badme and large amounts of Eritrean forces crossed the border here and proceeded south. Another large group entered Tigray from this area and then proceeded south as well. So it was a large-scale operation by the Eritreans, massive in scope, and the Tigrayans were not prepared for this type of action. So there's Badme. That was one of the concessions that Abiy Ahmed made to Eritrea prior for this operation to kick off. And again, the Ethiopian federal forces had really taken a beating initially on November 4th. Many of their bases had been overrun and seized, and they were not doing well. So the idea that they would quickly then move from from south to north, and move the speed that they did, is insane. It would not have happened. But we do know that the main advances came from north to south, and these advances, it was the Eritrean armed forces en masse, thousands, tens of thousands of them, and they just simply overwhelmed the Tigrayan state forces, and I think even the Ethiopian federal forces, who may have been stationed in some of these areas, were unsure of what exactly was going on, and really did nothing, and were kind of complicit in allowing the Eritrean divisions to move into Tigray. And the Eritrean army is not really a mechanized army. It has one mechanized brigade, it has a commando brigade, and then it's broken up into about 19 infantry divisions, which probably have 5,000 to 6,000 men. They're actually like brigade formations if these were Western formations, but they call them divisions. And they're predominantly foot-borne infantry. They commandeer the trucks of the civil populace, but it is not a fast-moving military force by any means. But it moved very quickly from the Eritrean border south, which tells me that Tigray was just not prepared for the sheer size of what exactly occurred, because it was a very large military operation which the Eritreans undertook. And they're still there. And now Ethiopia, the federal government of Ethiopia, is looking at this, and they see that most of Tigray is now occupied by Eritrean forces. Are they going to leave? Are they going to leave on their own? Or are they simply there to plunder Tigray? The people in Tigray have a higher standard of living than the people who live in Eritrea. Eritrea, again, they call it the North Korea of the Horn of Africa, and it is not an open society, very poor, very militaristic. And a lot of those troops that went south into Tigray were simply there to gain plunder. That would have been the motivation for a lot of these soldiers entering Tigray, and that is to go and plunder Mekelle, Aksum, Atagrat, Shairi. That was their motivation. Now, are they going to stay? We shall see.